Every day there's something new. Something else, level 3, level 4. There's like 6 cases in Okinawa now, and if it spreads there, they're in big trouble. There's a lot of old folks. There's centurions that are still there, and I don't think they'll be able to handle it. It's such a tiny island, so yeah, I've just been like worried about all that and stressed out. When I get stressed out, I clean, so I was like cleaning a lot yesterday. I was cleaning my dad's house.
Who needs crystal meth, right?
Seriously, man. It's exactly. It's
Just
nonstop.
just stress me out. I'll get shit done.
Yeah, normally I eat. I'm an emotional eater, but
Yeah.
yesterday I was just like, fuck, I can't do this. It was like my breaking point. I'm like, oh, keep moving. Just like do something else. Try not to think about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've let it overwhelm me quite a bit, but I think the fact that I'm fortunate enough to work is helping me get a lot by with it a lot. Honestly, it's helped me cope with the fear a lot because I'm in I don't want to sound so goddamn heroic, but I'm in the front lines. I'm I'm seeing and talking to people every day that I either don't know and that I definitely do not know where they've been, but I'm taking every practical precaution available to me. So, I mean, I'm not going to say I feel 100% safe, but I'm doing my part. I'm definitely doing my part. And just in that, I'm like, shit, if I was so scared, I should have just stayed home. But I'm still here. And I don't think it's just because of the paycheck, although that does have a lot to do with it. But I honestly, I feel like a duty now. I mean, I'm not fucking out here supplying groceries and getting supplies to hospitals, but I'm like, shit, we're part and parcel for this. If it's a domino, if something happens with us, yeah, we're not the only store in town, but if a few of us get knocked out and there's no parts to go and these guys are left stranded, it can cause a real clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Because even when people are talking about this, like total shutdown with the military and martial, like trucks still need to go. I don't give a shit what anyone says. The trucks are still gonna go. There's not gonna be a total complete shutdown where there is no movement whatsoever and you cannot go outside for any reason. Even in those situations, the trucks still need to go.
I'm scared to just go to the grocery store and you're over there still, operating as normal.
Yeah,
It's just crazy. I mean, yeah, it's essential. Like you're right. What's gonna happen when those trucks stop moving? They stop moving too. Like, can you imagine? I think we kind of went through this a while back too. Yeah, wasn't it because of 9/11 too? Even the trucks stopped moving or things were happening, and
well, see, 9/11's a little different because things like that where we got attacked by someone who it's not like we didn't know about them, but we were scared of, okay, is there more coming? Do they
yeah,
have connections here at home? Are they going to get connected with other countries?
yeah,
And that's the thing is, okay, what are they going to do to the food supply? Can they fuck with our medicine? So everything was just like, yeah, shut it down because we don't know where it's coming from. Right here, it's like, okay, we know what it is. Yeah, we don't see it, but there's ways to prevent it. There's ways. I don't want to say prevent it because that's hoping for a lot, but there's definitely good ways to avoid it.
yeah. The effects are almost similar, like economically and just even for consumers. Like the price of eggs might go up because these trucks can't move because I mean the truck driver's getting sick or trucks breaking down and people aren't out because the virus. Maybe the people that pick up these trucks and fixes them or like tows them, like those people are getting sick. Or I even like thought about like truck drivers getting in accidents because all of a sudden they started to feel it because they're always out.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna say too is the overtime. These motherfuckers are truckers drive a good while anyway, but right
Mhm.
now that the rate that they're driving in, these they're not stopping. Shit,
Yeah.
I'm not even saying this to make them seem like these superheroes, but it's true. They may have obviously physically and mentally, it's probably not as it's nowhere near as bad, but
Yeah.
uh physically as far as like the hours, they may get similar hours, if not longer hours than even some of these nurses and doctors.
Yeah, I saw an accident today actually because I went out. So I usually cut through the hood instead of going on the freeway, but I was close to the freeway, so I was like, let me just go because I hope that it's empty. It might just be easier just hopping on the freeway. So I hopped on the freeway and there's like a big ass semi truck accident. I'm like, holy shit, what is going on here? So
Yeah,
there's a truck down and there's a possibly like a truck driver hurt, and
mhm.
there's another person that could end up in the hospital. Like all these domino effects, right? And then you're like there too because you have to provide.
And I've been talking to my lady a lot about this, and it's funny because she's very similar to you, and she's very like data driven. So she's not like going off to like everything like, oh, okay, like everything is fucked. Like she still has hope too. But we've been talking about a lot of scenarios with a lot of stuff, and she said something that I had been thinking before she even said it. She's like, I think a lot of people are gonna, because a lot of the people that are the naysayers are saying like, well, more people die from the flu. A lot of people die from the flu every year, which is true. But it's like, dude, a lot of people are gonna die from the flu this year. I'm not even talking about the Rona. I'm talking about just regular flu because the resources are being focused on something else. And then extrapolate that to not just the flu, cancer, diabetes, heart problems, all the usual stuff, all the usual ailments that most Americans have. There's just not going to be and then obviously how they're saying to forego elective surgeries, and obviously people don't even want to go to the doctor, so who knows how many people are missing out on their physicals, maybe certain appointments they should have made that probably didn't go just because they're scared what health effects that can have in the long run. Like there's going to be a lot other collateral damage from this than just this. It's not just like, oh, even if you're not worried about it, if you have any kind of health issue, you might be in some trouble.
Yeah, that's where I was concerned because I heard yesterday's briefing, and they put like a deadline of Easter Sunday because that's basically his favorite day. He was gloating about it.
Trump's?
Yeah, that's one of his like favorite days. So
Oh, me la pelas, Joe. That's his favorite thing. Shut the fuck up, man. No way. No way. I did not hear that part, but that's fucking funny. Oh my God. Go ahead.
yeah, so it's just like really there's already a deadline, and even thank God the doctor was there, Dr. Fucci. He's like the expert, and he always has to like correct what Trump will say. He'll like give out misinformation about certain drugs and certain processes, and he has to always step in and just correct him. And yeah, he's like that has to be a flexible schedule, and we talked about it because we just don't know. We can't put a hard deadline on this because how long we don't know how long it's going to take. Like it's great that these places are now taking certain measures so it doesn't grow, because it was growing and growing. Even just here, I was scared. I was terrified. I was like, holy shit, it keeps growing every day. But now we're at like a steady 88. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still bad, right? It's out there because who knows if we were not on lockdown, it could grow. That's
That's
how
the thing.
terrifying it is.
That's the thing that I was looking at was I started looking at the numbers like slightly before the shutdown, and it was extra. Now, granted, not a lot of tests were around and people were out and about, and it was not high numbers, but they were getting exponentially larger. So one of the first days I saw was like 20, 25 people. And I'm looking at just LA County because looking at the country and the state and the world, just it's going to continue to give me anxiety. So I'm like, I'll focus on LA. The numbers don't look that big, and I know how at risk I am, because I am considering all of LA County, given that I'm in a small part of LA and I don't really go out, but I don't know where a lot of these people are coming from. But in the first couple of days, it was like 20, 25, maybe like a day or two. And then in the next following days, it went like double. So it went from like 25 to 50. And then the next day went from 50 to like, I don't remember how many, like 70. And then it went to like 100. I'm like, okay, it was only a matter of time. And in the past 2 days, I think it's been 162 new cases back to back. That's bad. I mean, to have over 100 some odd cases back to back is bad, but it was exponentially growing just a week ago. Granted, it was in the 20s, it was in the double digits, not the triple digits, but it was growing. If it would have been 160 yesterday and it went to 320 today, which is still not out of the question, but if that's how it was going, that's some serious shit. I've gotten so morbid about it that even like during my lunch break, because I usually take lunch as they're about to update this, I'm like, what's the number going to be today? And I try to guess it because I usually take lunch right before they're going to announce it. And I'll just hit refresh, 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 and see how close I am. And I was actually pretty close today. Yesterday was at 662. I'm like, I'm going to say right around 800. And today it's 799.
Oh God. Yeah.
But this is not good. This is not good that anyone dies, but it's only been one death since today, since yesterday to today, which is terrible. But given those numbers, you'd expect it to be a bit higher.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, especially in California, you know, there's still pending tests out there, and I think it was like 26,000 or something
A
gone
lot,
off.
a lot.
Yeah. So we still don't know how much is out there. I mean, New York has just, it's the epicenter. That's so fucking crazy. I don't even know when they're going to be up and running again. It's going to be a few months because they're still constantly testing and discovering, okay, this person is infected. I guess if you're infected, it's a possibility that you can infect 16 more people. Is that right? It was some
Um,
fucking high
I
number.
I thought, well, I think at the average, and I don't know if this is in America or overall, like globally, I thought I would heard something like 2.3, 2.5. If you're in New York, yeah, you're gonna fuck a lot of people up because those motherfuckers are packed together like sardines.
So just seeing all that and then thinking about California, and
We
I'm
have
so
space
glad.
though, Rain.
Yeah, we do. There's like pockets too. So I'm like, okay, as long as we have this lockdown until whenever it is, hopefully we have control over this.
That's why San Francisco's bad. I mean, you and I have been
Yeah,
there. It's
yes.
bad there because a lot of business, a lot of wealthy people who go on trips, not even just out of for recreational purposes, business people that fucking need to go. You most of the time, maybe not so much anymore, but they definitely were. And it's a small place. It's a small place. Not a lot of people by the numbers, but for the how small it is, it's a lot of fucking people.
Oh yeah, hella people like commute from Sacramento or Stockton or wherever to
Yep.
work in the Bay Area. And that's
Yep.
what was like scaring me too. I'm like, what if they carry it over? You know, because they were working in San Francisco. So like the way they like locked it down, like I agree with that. It was a little slow, but at least it happened, and we'll see, you know, how long it's going to take, because there's no there's no vaccine. So that's another thing. It's like, okay, there's control over it, there's a decline, but who's to say that it's not going to pop up again? Like, I have all these questions, and it was like driving me nuts. It's
Well,
just going around in circles.
for me personally, I think a lot of people are because it's the most obvious solution. Vaccine. I've given up on the vaccine because I honestly it's not practical. It's not practical. It's gonna at least a year and a half out. At that point, who the fuck knows what could happen? Honestly, I'm to the opinion like I'll if Mother Nature did this, I'm gonna kind of let. Obviously, we have to do our part, but maybe Mother Nature can also help us out in this in one way or another. Maybe there's a way to go about that we haven't even thought about. I think the most rational thing is some type of drug that can probably at least lessen the symptoms. That way, people can be at home taking whatever pills or whatever that can help them, and they'll get sick, but they can just isolate, be sick, take these pills, and it'll help them get over it, hopefully in a few days, without the need of medical assistance. Because that's what I'm telling a lot of people. I'm like, what's fucked up is that a lot of these people that the everyone's overreacting type people,
Oh
they're
God,
not.
yeah.
No, no. See, here's the thing. I hate those people, but they're not exactly wrong on some things. Like what they say about the flu. Like it's kind of true. I mean, it is true. I'm not even gonna say it is true that more people has killed the flu as of right now. Obviously, things change, but what they're not understanding about that, it's like you can say however bad or not bad or overreacting. It's not. It's resources at this point. That's why we're in shutdown. Because once hospitals get overwhelmed, we are all fucked. And of course, the economy's taking a big hit. And I'm pretty sure we're kind of fucked of that regardless. But we can get fucked and be able to get out of it, or we can just try and make ourselves feel better and okay, let's go back to work and let's go out and about and let's do this and that. And then everyone's fucking doomed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy that people still don't believe it, and they're just like, well, there's more accidents than this, this case or whatever. Like, are you gonna stop driving? Like, I've seen all these different like people tweeting stupid shit, and I'm like,
There's also
I get it, I get what you're saying, but this we don't know when this will stop.
that's the problem with these fucking Ben Shapiro conservative type people. These facts don't care about your feelings and it's all about the numbers and all about the data. It's like there's a lot of variables that you cannot input when you're all about the numbers. When you're
Exactly.
all about this, oh well, to get to the really hardcore, right? Oh well, black people committed a crime that's this and that, and well, these are just FBI numbers and this and like, okay, if you're taking all that at face value, you're not looking at the how or the why. Those things are important, and that's
Exactly.
what's happening right here. It's like, well, look at the numbers. Okay, that's fine. There's also fucking it just came out what a few months ago, a few years ago, that in some communities, painkillers and heroin is killing more people than even car accidents. And if you want to go with that rationale about it, okay, you don't have to drive. Okay, we can do that. You definitely don't have to take hardcore opiates. And in this case, okay, we need to work, we need to go out. This is way harder, but you don't need to be fucking around going outside if it's not absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain measures in place, and it's somewhat. It looks like it's helping. It's just because the numbers are high, especially in New York, because all the testing they're doing and the information they're receiving back, and people are reporting it constantly on Twitter. Yeah, I've seen that in drive me nuts too. I don't know why I keep like looking at it, but it just happens. Anyways, the people that just tweet things like that and they have like a strong following, it just worries me because people believe it. People will be like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong. Is it people are overreacting? This is stupid." But I mean, come on, educate yourself too. You have like a strong following. You should be a little bit more responsible and be like, who's my audience here? Should I even tweet this? Maybe I should like do some homework. I Did you listen to Fight Companion, this previous one?
No, but I told you a little bit of what Eddie Bravo was saying.
Yeah, and I guess
I
like Eddie, of course, he was, on that side. He's just no, he doesn't believe anything that's going on. Joe was kind of like, okay, I don't know what's going on. He has so many questions.
That's usually
There's
how
like,
he is too.
yeah, because he's like very inquisitive, right? Like he's not really sure. He hasn't even looked into it, but he's like open minded about things, right? I guess like Michael Yo. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I know he got sick. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I guess Joe Rogan heard about it. He's like tripping over it. He's like, okay, that's it. I can't. I'm just yeah, this virus. Like, he is a healthy guy. He's a young guy. He almost died. He had like pneumonia on top of it. He had
Oof.
COVID
Oof.
and pneumonia on top of it, and he's just like, yeah, it's just awful. He almost died, and he's like, okay, now I get it. Like, this is crazy. This is serious. I talked to my so and so friend, and they said
Yeah.
anybody can get it. It's just so what they're saying, like, it's just the old people that are gonna get it. The young people are fine. Even kids are fine. It's like it's not true. You see, like kids getting sick too.
the first
Everybody.
kid the first kid in the country died yesterday in here in LA. He
Oh
was
my
under
god.
18. I don't know how old he was, but I know there was a case of a kid at Children's Hospital who had gotten sick, and I don't remember if they ever said how old he or she was. And I don't know how old this kid was, he or she was, or if it's the same kid. I gotta assume that they were sick. Obviously, that's not the necessarily a wise assumption, but that is the assumption that they had some kind of underlying issue. And also, I'm not speaking about this person in particular because if they're under 18, I'm going to assume they weren't like wilding out. But to the 18, 20, 20, especially 21 to 25-year-olds, all these motherfuckers vaping. And honestly, I'm not, and I have absolutely no problem with weed. I do not. But even all the super heavy weed smokers, like, you guys got problems, man. I don't think weed is dangerous. I do not think that weed. I think weed does more good than it does bad. But the people that smoke like fucking Snoop Dogg every day, and I don't give a shit how young you are, that's gonna affect your lungs. And if you
Yes.
get this, I don't know how you think you're safe. I don't care
Yes.
how natural it is and how it helps you with anxiety and yada yada yada. Your lungs are not 100%. They're not even at fucking 50% maybe.
The possibility, yeah, the issues with lungs and because we don't know how it's going to affect, right? With this virus and whatever particles is in your body, you're using papers, you're using swishers, cutting up swishers and using that and rolling a blunt, or if you're all, getting something else, the wraps, if they're not like, what is it, organic or whatever possible healthier ones you can use, like you still don't know how it's going to affect with this virus. Like everything's so new with this, and they're speeding up testing and trying to figure this out, but like this is scary. We're like fucking the guinea pigs, so to speak. Like we're testing this out, and then finally there's going to be a vaccine, hopefully that'll last, but it's going to be months away, and I just don't understand like how people are can be so nonchalant or don't educate themselves, or tweet like just awful stuff, like oh yeah, like this coronavirus will kill people, like, and then the fucking like lieutenant governor from Texas saying like, yeah, I'm sure grandparents would give up their lives for the children, their future, and there's no point in like what crashing the economy because of this. People should be going back. Like really, that's awful. Like how irresponsible can you be? Like really.
But they did make damn sure to shut down abortion clinics. Now, I
Oh
don't know if you
god,
saw that one.
I did see this. Yes, yes, yes.
I
Awful.
I'm I don't know. I've always kind of been the guy with abortion that, like, I don't know. I'm just of the opinion that it's wise to have it because the alternatives are pretty bad. And that's probably as far as I'll go with it. I'm not religious and I don't need to bring any of that in. And I definitely, if you want to go with the politically correct way about it, I support a woman's right to choose. But what I find funny about it is, in this case, like, a lot of people are telling if it's not essential medicinal reasons to go to the doctor, then don't go. Okay, by logically speaking, an abortion is not necessarily essential. You're looking at it just on paper, but not everyone's situation is the same. Everyone, when they think of abortion, they think of some fucking 19-year-old girl who's been partying, who fucks some random stranger and is pregnant and wants to get rid of it. That's not I don't know what the cases are of how many women actually do that, but I'm pretty sure that's not like the majority. And even if it is, there's still plenty of women out there that do need it for medical reasons. And in the way that this was written, the way that I read it, it seems like there's not a lot of things that are gonna get exempted for this.
Yeah, I read that and I thought that was awful. Because okay, so what? I think that's a needed surgery if that.
In cases, yeah, and I don't know if that's a lot of cases or in certain cases or in small cases, but to just ban it outright
Yes,
is pretty
because
nuts.
it's so difficult to talk about because where was she at with the pregnancy? She was gonna have this.
Of
She
course,
had that right, yeah. And
there's so
then
much black and white, and that's why people get all touchy because it's like you're killing a baby, or it's nothing, and it's just like a routine thing to do, and it's no big deal. And it's like it's so very few people that look in the in betweens of that. It's like these are two very extremes to say it's nothing or it's the worst thing that a person can do.
yeah.
There's definitely gray areas, and this is the thing about shit like this. It's like, man, it's shutting down a lot of that talk in certain with certain topics.
See, that just makes me wonder, like, okay, then what's the real reason behind shutting this down? Because if you're not on total lockdown, like some of these different states, like us, California, New York City, Washington, because we have the highest numbers. If Texas doesn't have high numbers like that, then why couldn't they?
Well, the idea was, and again, on paper it makes sense, but the idea is if you're not doing an essential procedure, a life-saving procedure, which again, there's definitely a debate to be had of whether it's life-saving or not, then you should be giving up your time and resources to fight this.
But if you don't have that many people, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't have that many people that are in beds right now, or if you're not out testing as much because you don't have as many cases, then why is there a need for you to completely ban it? It's not even shutting down; it's just banning it at this point. Because
Okay,
unless it's essential to saving that woman's life, then they're not going to do it at all. It sucks to being a woman like this and not having that because now you have to go through. Okay, when am I going to have it? I already made this decision. This wasn't my choice at all. You know, not being able to have this procedure done. It's because of this virus, and now you're going through all those like emotions and feelings, and yeah, it's just horrible being in that position.
to that point, like you said, when Texas is not as bad, it's not as bad as California, New York, or anything like that. And yeah, it's true, big state, not a lot of cases. So if this was the case, if like the governor of New York decided to shut down abortions, because obviously that's the worst hit right now, would you have a problem with that?
See, if they're not, if
Mm-hmm.
they shut it down and then they're laying off those doctors too, or they're going home, then there's a problem, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like with everything.
Yeah, so if they're available, then why not? And if they're pulling resources from the military, then they can't be there. Do we really not have that many people?
Well, I
They're
think in a
they're
place like this,
mobilizing. Yeah,
I
they're
think
mobilizing the National Guard and they're getting like a big ass hospital bed, a fucking like big ass boat from the military. So that's not enough either. Is it that bad? I'm not. Seriously. I'm asking this because even though I've been following numbers, I haven't been following like Andrew Cuomo's speeches. If there's no like a shortage of beds or whatever.
yeah, I haven't either. And Cuomo's been very doom and gloom, and I don't think he's doing it to scare people. I think he's just being pretty honest. And from
Hmm.
what he's saying, it's fucked.
Jeez, I don't know. If they don't have resources, then I mean, at that point, what can you do?
I wasn't
Well,
saying this to put you on the spot of like, come on, Reen, be a good woman. I wasn't. I
no,
was genuinely asking you because it's like, okay, there's a discussion to be had. So what about in the places where it is really bad?
yeah,
What do you do? But
yeah.
you're right. In the case of Texas, is and the other thing is just if we want to talk about just the whole liberty aspect of it, which is a really touchy subject right now. Just even saying that word of liberty, and even more so right now, what I'm about to ask, but what I'm about to state is like I honestly believe that even if it is whether it's a woman with her partner or a woman who I really hope not a lot of people are whoring around right now, but
Damn.
beside the point, if a woman doesn't want a kid to step into this world, be it out of fear for her safety or the kid's safety, they may die a terrible death because of the disease, or they don't want to bring a kid into a world that may very reasonably be on its way to a new depression, I don't see any problem with that. Again, there's the issue of resources, and depending on how it may be, that's just my opinion. But I know there's bigger things to worry about, but I think that is something that people should consider. It's like, put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
Willingly or not, do you want to bring a kid to this fucking world right now?
Right. Yeah.
I have a coworker who he doesn't work with me directly, but he works at one of our other branches, who just had a kid like a week and a half ago. Imagine that.
Oh my God. Little boy, little girl.
I don't know. I don't speak to him that much.
Oh, okay.
I don't know to because he'd been sick. He'd been sick. That's the other thing. He'd been sick like
oh my God.
a month or two ago. So he just came back like 3 weeks ago, and then he came back for a few days, and then is taking the paid the parental leave.
Yeah.
For the 2 weeks, which good for him. But he's bringing his kid into this shit.
Yeah, that's scary, man. I mean, you don't want to go out with a kid anyways because they're still young, you know?
Of course, just in general, be safe. But now...
Yeah,
and his wife, I believe, had a C-section.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, that's going to be...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did she even go to her checkup again? Because after she has a C-section. Baby has a follow-up appointment, too. She has to, like, waddle around and crazy. She probably won't even be able to go to the doctor appointments now because of what's been going on too.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. I really don't know this guy too much, as the only thing I'd heard. And when it was first told to me, I was like, oh, okay, good. Go congratulate him when I see him. And then like a day or two later, it started getting bad. And I was like, fuck, man. And like I started getting my little anxiety about this and that. And then I thought about him, and I'm like, fuck. That's some shit right there. I mean, I hope, that it doesn't matter and he's just staying safe and his child is bringing him enough joy. But to think that he's not worried is ridiculous. It's Jesus, that's something.
That's so hard. I think, there's another baby that was like, not another, but there's a baby that was born that had the virus.
I hadn't read that. Yeah. I hadn't read that. That's obviously, when you look at the numbers, these things are they're going to happen. And I'm not saying this to be that's heartbreaking. That truly is terrible. But when you look at the numbers, like all these things are bound to happen. Yeah, of course, a bunch of cops are going to get it. Doctors and nurses are going to get it. Apparently now it looks like a few prison guards up by your way, Reen, has gotten it. And then that means prisoners are going to be infected. Now, granted, when there's prisoners infected, you also get Harvey Weinstein getting infected. So there are some goddamn silver fucking linings. But
but he wasted a test on that guy. That's the only problem. Wasted a test on that guy.
But just isolate him and don't give him a fucking respirator. That's it.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. I'm like, I hope they don't use any resources to save this person.
To just isolate him and don't even worry about it. Just lock the room and you find to say how good. And if he doesn't, that's good too.
Is that karma? Because he even said, like, I'm going to die in there.
Well, of course he said that. He's, in his 60s and he got like 20-something years. Of course he was going to die in there. Now it's just sooner than you expected. And
right? It's sped up. We don't have to, well, not we, but whoever, what, is it New York? I thought that he still needs to be tried in California too, or some crazy shit.
I believe you had mentioned that. I don't know if it was you or someone else that I knew that mentioned that to me. Like, yeah, now it's like, come on, man, just leave him over there.
It's all good. You guys keep him until, he goes down. I don't mind that at all.
And then, let's get more and more of it if we're talking about silver linings. One of those fucking idiots in Florida also got infected.
The spring breaker?
Yeah, 25-year-old kid.
Well, you know those challenges that people are doing? Like, they lick the toilet seat? It's a YouTuber that did it, and I guess he is now sick. Yeah, it's a young kid. They're doing. I told you about that before, right? Remember with the girl that did it? but it was in the airplane. And it was the airplane
Reen,
toilet.
I think it's safe to say you follow way too many white people on your timeline or something, because that's some. I don't need to see this shit, and I have yet to come across it.
It's, that's what I always too. I'm like, why is it always crazy ass white people doing this shit? But yeah, this kid caught it.
Well, to that extent, did you ever see any brothers on Jackass?
Yeah, that's true.
And I could probably count on one hand how many black dudes there were, like in the X Games and shit too.
Yeah, true that. Hey, there's another kid though. He was, I don't know if he was doing a challenge or what, but he's just being a nasty motherfucker. That's what his caption was too on his video. He was at the grocery store, I don't know, some kind of store, and he's like licking all the packages, just going across and licking all the packages.
Yeah, my lady told me that there's videos of, well, maybe that is definitely nasty, but there was kids, I guess, just being assholes. I don't know where, I don't want to know, and if I know somebody, I might beat the fucking shit out of them that are coughing. They're coughing on produce. I guess.
Oh God!
Mm-hmm.
I did not hear that one, but the one that just licked all the packaging at the store, he got picked up, arrested for terrorist threat. That's what the charge. Yeah, so I was happy about that. I was like, damn, terrorist threat for real? That's dope. Because people are fucking acting stupid. It shouldn't be. We don't know what you have. You're doing this on purpose. There's another one.
We don't even have to talk about Corona. Like, I mean, we were talking about shit like this months ago with the people, opening the food containers and this and that, whatever. Obviously, that's scary and dirty enough. But during this, like, you go right ahead, man.
Yes. There's another one, like a Subway. Inside a Subway, the railing, like there's this guy like licking up and down. Like, it's not funny, guys. It may be, but it's not really funny, not at this time.
It's only funny if they die.
that's
and then at that point, the joke's on them.
Yes, like you got what you deserve. Like, you're playing around. You're trying to like spread this around for clout, and people are doing it. President Trump was saying something about this substance. It's actually used in fish cleaners too. There's a couple that drank the fish cleaner, fish tank cleaner, because they thought that it was going to help them with this COVID-19 virus. Yeah.
No.
Fight this off. I kid you not. It was all over the place. They actually were drinking it. The husband died, and the wife is in critical condition right now. I don't know if she passed away. I haven't looked all day, but that's what I read last. I'm like, don't they have like warning labels on the cleaner as well though? Like, you're not supposed to do that. Number one. Number two, it's a fish tank cleaner.
Those are people that watch nothing but fucking news all day and honestly may be illiterate, because the fact that they haven't read at least one somewhat factual, somewhat detailed, somewhat balanced article to think that that's the way they needed to go. I'm sorry, that it's a bit tragic, but I'm not sad.
I was that. I was like, I'm sad, but I was sad that happened. That's so, but it's so stupid. Like, are you serious? I mean, come on, there's common sense.
But Reen, we're seeing more and more that shit, like, that's something I don't fight about with my lady, but something that she continues to tell me, and she is constantly amazed that I don't get it. She's like, Drews, common sense isn't common. Like, she learned that like 20 years ago, so she's like, I'm like, I understand, but she's like, common sense is not common. Like, it just keeps going back to that. And I'm like, that's fucking sad. Like, it doesn't matter. Common sense is not common. And I mean, I think I've just been subjugated. I'm done. Like
yes, right?
She wins. I wasn't even arguing with her, but I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's just the amount of stupidity I've seen because of this virus, and just like, oh no, okay, if something happens to you, I might not feel bad, because that's just one less dumbass person that we have to encounter or be doing something, that might affect us. Sorry. Like, that's fun. I mean, like, looking at numbers is one thing, but all these people just acting a fool. That's why I told you, like, I'm scared about people. I'm more scared about the people than the virus.
Yeah, and that's kind of always been the case with me too. You know, we talk about thinning the herd, and this virus is definitely doing that. You can't. And the fucked up thing about the virus is that it's indiscriminate. Of course, it's gonna grab some stupid people, but of course, it's grabbing some very bright and some very bright people and some very good people along the way too. It sucks. I'm telling people to try. I'm trying to figure out ways to explain it so people get it. Because I don't think it's completely hopeless, and the people that are all dogged that, oh, you know, fuck that, I'm gonna do whatever I want. I don't give a shit about these rules and blah 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 blah. Even with them, like, I'm not saying I'm gonna be Gandhi and just preach to the deaf, but I think there's ways to get around it, and this is a fight. This is whether you want to call it a fight or a war, it's a fight, and the thing is that it's life, it's biology. A virus is the fucked up thing is the virus isn't even living. It's not even scientifically living. There's a criteria for something to be categorized as alive, and a virus is not alive, but it still grows. It's fucking imperialistic. It knows no bounds. It will go to the world's end, and we gotta fight it. And people think that that's literally rising up to it and standing in its way. It's like, no, it's to stay home. It's to stay away from people. It's to do these things that are very hard, and they're all sacrifices. But it's a fight, and I really feel like it's a thing of who wants it more. This fucking thing is going to continue to spread. That's all it
Mm-hmm.
wants to do. That's its only objective. And if you want to live, and if you want to better, you know, if you want to keep your loved ones safe and keep not even the country but the world going, you need a sacrifice. And if you think it's so, oh well, I'll live my life I want, there's no other way to live. Okay, but this thing is merciless. It will take no pity on you, and you are doing nobody at all a service besides your own fragile little fucking ego.
Oh my god, that just reminded me of what Sam Alvey was saying. Did you see that with Sam Alvey?
I haven't kept up with a lot. Oh yeah, by the way, folks, hello, and welcome and all that. And this is not gonna be a very MMA heavy, but we are gonna sprinkle it here and there. So this is one of Reen's first introductions to that. It took us about 40 some odd minutes, but yeah, go ahead, Reen. What happened with Sam Alvey?
Yeah, I guess like you're saying, like he believes that there's been a huge overreaction with the outbreak.
Well, okay, this brings me to my next point. This is another thing I was about to say. It's weird with him because you know, once he gets sick, he's probably not going to be smiling so much. But anyway, this is another thing about the overreaction thing. Those people, just like the people that say that, oh, you know, more people get sick by the flu and blah blah blah. These are the same type of people that are saying it's an overreaction. It is an overreaction. It is, but again, it's because resources are on the line. And the way that I put it is like, Reen, if you got into it with somebody, or just, it doesn't have to be you in general. I'm not picking you out. I'm just saying this situation in general, but I'll just say you for argument's sake. It can be your friend, it can be a loved one, it can be a total stranger. Obviously, this situation like this is going to get heated. If someone went up to you and starts talking shit for whatever they may be saying about you, you may or may not ignore it, but I don't think you're just going to fucking like text someone the minute they say something. You know, I don't think you're going to go full Masvidal on it. But what this is happening is like, okay, if you're in a situation and someone's talking shit to you and then that escalates and you say something back and now they get very personal and then say something about your family, about your son, about, you know, fighting words, as they say, them's fighting words, and they get all up in your face and say all this shit, you're probably most likely going to swing on that person. Now, that's not advisable and that's not legal, and you might get in trouble for that. But if I was around or you had any witnesses around and you saw that, you know, the cops may or may not talk to these people, but what these people would say especially, someone like me, I'd be like, okay, yeah, she swang or she did this and that, but this person was crossing the fucking line. It's like she went too far. She was asking for it. Like, oh, you can say, and the cops and the legal system can say you overreacted, but to the minds of most people, it's justified. That's what this is. This virus is in our face, poking his fucking finger in our chest, talking mad shit. So these people saying, oh, it's just an overreaction. Okay, yeah, we're swinging right now, but it's justified.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our face, threatening us and threatening our families.
It's so crazy. We keep talking about it.
Green, I mean, you and I have talked. You and I are of a very similar mindset.
Yeah.
And I like talking about it with you. I mean, everybody's talking about this in one way or another,
Yeah.
but I like talking about it with you because I'm not going to be getting in these fucking squabbles with you about stupid bullshit. And you're also honestly, if you're one of these people that's like, who cares about the economy? Who cares about this and that? We just need to stay home and just fucking bubble boy everybody up. Like that, I don't think that's reasonable either.
No.
There's people that are just they're looking at that fucking map that's getting, from the middle of the country and then it's all going to turn red and we're all going to die in 6 months, all that type of shit. Those people are ridiculous too, because they're looking at the doctors and the scientists that are like saying worst case scenario, and all they're thinking is worst case scenario. And they're not thinking about that people actually are paying attention. The majority of people are paying attention. They are staying home and they are doing what they're told right now. The little groups of people that don't pay attention fucks it up for the rest of us and they get our ire. But people are falling in line and that's good. And we need to commend those people. But I like talking about this with you because you are pretty balanced about it. And it seems like in one way or another, knowingly or not, you've always been ready for some shit like this.
Yeah, but at the same time that it's like we keep talking about how people are just the way they're acting, the way they're taking this, some of them they're still having a hard time understanding what this could be, right? What it's doing to us, or how it can affect you, in denial somehow. I don't know, maybe just the way I grew up, I'm just like, okay, you follow the rules, you do this, this, and this, and that's it. It's this is black or white. Why can't we just be that of that mindset? Just follow the fucking rules and we won't have any problems. Especially in this case.
You know what I do find funny, and I'm really trying my best not to politicize this because I don't think it's a political issue, but I will say, because what I've seen of the majority of people who are like, it's not that big a deal and all yada yada yada, a lot of them are Trump supporters or right wing. Maybe that's just a giant coincidence or whatever. But since they're in that line of thinking, I do find it funny that this thing that's killing hundreds and thousands and possibly on its way to killing millions of people, I do find it funny how they're like, hey, well, what can be done? It is what it is, and yada, yada, yada. But they see a few statistics of how many people are killed by black people or by immigrants that pale in comparison to this. And they're like, we need to fucking do something. We need to deport them. We need to lock them all up. We need to do this and that. Like, I don't get it.
I know.
You're about the numbers. You're about facts. But these numbers don't scare you enough to do something about it. But yeah, lock up all those bad brown people.
God, it's so mind-boggling. Like, you're not that smart, are you? Like, you can't see it? Like, how fast it's going and... Yeah. We'll see what happens, man, with this April 12th timeline. We still have, 2 weeks?
My mayor here in LA is saying that expect at least a few months of this. And honestly, I obviously I don't want to think about that, but I at least commend his honesty. And maybe he's lying. Maybe he's lying in the fact that maybe it won't be that long. But I'd rather have him lie about that than undersell it. I'd rather have him oversell it than undersell it.
Yeah. Yep. Rather be wrong than right.
Like Waterboy says, as my mama always said, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm kind of like with Newsom. I'm glad that he threw that number out because we just still don't know. Like it's like a huge number. What 56% of Californians will receive?
Yeah, and even me, I'm still like, nah, son, nah. Like again, I'm still, but he needed something so people get, pay attention, especially so Trump and people abroad pay attention. I don't blame him for that. I can have my own opinion about him actually saying that and whether I agree with it or not, but I'm not mad at him for doing that because he's one of those. He's following doctors' talking points and science. They're thinking worst case scenario because they got to get ready for fucking something. But people are acting accordingly, and there's no way right now, if we're going how we're supposed to be going right now, that that's going to get to that number because from the if you look at the numbers again, how many people it infects, how many people recover, and how many people actually die, like it doesn't seem to be going that way if we keep it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're gonna still kind of stay on topic, but I wanted to ask you, did you see this Francis Ngannou issue that people had? He was selling the antibacterial soap or antibacterial, the hand sanitizer. Did you see that?
No, the only thing I've seen was that, and don't worry, I thank you for bringing it back around to MMA because I can go on all day about this, and
Oh, me too.
and it's fine. We need someone to steer the ship. You're the host tonight, and that's fine. I will let you steer the ship. I do not care. No, the only thing I saw was that he got tested for COVID and that he's negative, and that the fight with Rosenstruck might happen at 2:49 in the to be announced location.
Yeah, that's interesting too. Yeah, so we'll talk about that as well. But
I did not know anything about any kind of nothing like this. No.
Yeah, he was selling like hand sanitizer on his Twitter account, and that pissed some people off. He was selling it with the discount. Fighters always do that. You use promo code whatever, and you get 20% off or whatever. So people were kind of upset about it. That at this time he's trying to like profit.
Did you say it was Defense Soap?
No, hand sanitizer.
But is this a sponsor that like he's had? Like it sells other products and other, or did he just get this, or like nobody knows?
It was with his business partners. So there's like some kind of deal going on with his business partners.
Well, that's the reason I like I said, I haven't seen this, so I apologize. But that's the reason I was asking if it was Defense Soap. There's that company, Defense Soap. They sell a lot of like health products, health and hygiene products for fighters and grapplers. Is like all natural soaps to help with like ringworm and things like that to avoid staph and shit like that. Even I use it just because I like the soap. I use that shit all the time. But I know they also sell like cleaning wipes and hand wipes and stuff like that. So that's why I thought it was something like that. Like maybe he has a sponsorship with Defense Soap, and well, hell, people need hand sanitizer stuff, so they decided to go with that. If it was a situation like that, I don't really see the problem. If it was something that he got and was like, oh yeah, I got a bunch of hand sanitizer, you want some? Like, yeah, that's fishy.
Yeah.
Everyone needs money right now. Everyone needs money, and the optics are not good, but people need. I mean, if he's selling it for $80 a bottle, then yeah, he can go fuck himself. But if he's doing like a discount and it's like at basically more or less normal market price, I don't see the issue.
Yeah. So yeah, it says my business partner CPR, and it says like CPR on the bottle too. So I don't know if it's just an actual hand sanitizer company or the business partners CPR developed this product. I didn't go that far into it, but yeah, people were upset that at this time, yeah, he's trying to profit because of this pandemic or whatever. I can see why people are upset, because I mean, surface level, yeah, that's fucked up. What are you doing? Why don't you just donate all those products to a hospital or whatever? But just like looking at it though, are hospitals really asking for that? What they need is like masks or protective gear. They're not really fighting for hand sanitizers. Consumers are. We are. So I can see why people are upset. But at the same time, like if you look at him, he hasn't fought in a while. I don't know how he's getting his money. I don't think he's going to be part of this, unemployment insurance thing, or because he's not a UFC employee. I've read that Endeavor was also letting go of certain staff members and
Mm-hmm.
whoever. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if UFC people too. So like, yeah, all these things were going in my head. Like Francis isn't even like contracted, really, right? Or it is a contract, but they're not
It's like
contractors.
the contract is basically, and this is from the little I know, from extrapolating from other fighters' words and contracts that have been out there. The UFC only has a few responsibilities, and one of them is to offer you fights.
Yeah,
There's a certain
that's
amount
it.
of fights that, of course, they get mad when people say no, but they did what they were obliged to do, and you can say yes or no. And after you say no a few times, if they keep offering you fights and you say no, they're in their right to cut you because they did their job. They offered you fights. You keep saying no. Now, obviously, there's a caveat of I'm injured. I have some family troubles. I'm not in any position to fight right now. Obviously, we hope that those are the situations the UFC gives, they're lenient. But that is their legal obligation to offer you fights, and that's about it. And then, obviously, once the fight's signed and everything, their job is to pay you for showing up and for winning if you in fact won.
Yeah,
That
so they
there's
don't
not
get
much
nothing.
else to it. There's not
Yeah,
much else to it.
then you don't get nothing. Then yeah, they're it's just a contract. You sign this. That's it. There's no label to them at all. And then there's no insurance, of course, because of that. So how is Francis supposed to take care of himself during this time? Like he wasn't even sure if he was going to be fighting until what, recently.
People are just, they're just emotional people. And also the thing that there's not a lot to talk about. I think people are going out of their way to find fault with people, and in this case it's like, look, man, we all would love to help. This is a fight for humanity. If I had any kind of disposable income, I would donate to this. I really would, because
Yeah.
as I've said a few times, this is my biggest fear, and I care about humanity. I think that's pretty cut and dry. If you guys haven't had your fucking eyes open, this is severely affecting the economy. And this is much like the virus, it's not discriminating between white collar and blue collar. There is people with six-figure jobs who are out of work right now. I'm not saying this to downplay anyone. A associate of ours, he's not a coworker, but someone that works with us, that buys parts from us from time to time from another store. He came in after the shutdown, and we were all making jokes like, "Hey, why are you working? You're not essential." And obviously, he's like, "Of course we are. We're in transportation. This is essential." And he's a very blue collar guy. He's a cool guy. He's a funny dude, and he's a very clever guy. And he made a joke about how, isn't it funny how lawyers, accountants, all these prestigious, very important people are out there looking for a job, and who's the ones that have jobs? People in fast food, grocery store workers, plumbers, mechanics. We're essential. These are the people that were usually looking down their nose at us,
Mm-hmm.
and look at us now. This isn't a thing to rub their nose in it, but this thing of this thing of like, yeah, oh yeah, we'll learn a skill, or you're in this minimum wage job, and what are you really doing, and how come you're still 40 years old working in this type of work? And I was like, because it's important, and people are now seeing what's important and what's not.
Yeah.
Everyone's hurting. Everyone's hurting. Francis Ngannou definitely has more money than you and I. But to think that he's all okay right now, I mean, is he better than most of us? Yeah. But to think that he doesn't need money and that he doesn't have mouths to feed too is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Right? Like he needs to make sure he has income somehow. He has a possible fight coming up. Yeah, he lives in Vegas. The Performance Institute is always there, and he's taking full advantage of it. But that's the reason why he's not making as much. So yes, he's moved from what?
I,
Where was he in, like? Was he in France? I think he was in France because he was in Africa first, right? And then he moved to France, and then he made it all the way to Vegas. So he has to have income somehow.
and since you brought up MMA, I will curve into it to start getting into a more familiar pattern to that point about people not having jobs and people suffering and people getting laid off. This thing that all of a sudden Dana White is looking out for the little guy, and that these people have family. These people have mouths to feed, and this acting like he cares so fucking much about the fighters when it's not that Endeavor and Ari and all these people are breathing down his fucking neck to get something done because they need some kind of income coming in. I want to say it's funny, but honestly, it's fucking infuriating.
Yeah, that surprised me that Endeavor was laying people off. I thought
Reen,
they had so much money.
as you said, corporations, Reen.
But with them, it's like because all these celebrities, I thought that
You know
they
studios
were
aren't
like a
working.
machine.
You know studios aren't working right now, right?
Yeah, I totally understand that, but just where they have all their money tied in, like I thought that was still coming in. They have something still coming in regardless of people not working.
Okay, so they represent actors, they represent athletes. There's no movies being shot. There's
Yeah,
no movies in theaters. There's no sports going on. Where
yeah.
the fuck are they getting their money?
I don't know, I understand that, but they don't have other businesses where there's like still money going in at
I
all, or
mean,
like a slush fund or anything. Like they don't have. It's just wild to me. Like, okay, you're the only well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the only company I've heard of like laying off. That's so giant. It's just
oh no,
surprising to me.
oh no, it's they're definitely not the only one. They're definitely not the only one. And I don't know what the Endeavor umbrella holds underneath it. I know
Hmm.
it's not just sports and entertainment. I know that is a big portion of it, but it's just that. It's a big portion of it. So profits are down. You got to downsize.
So they're gonna get bailed out too, then
And
possibly. I wonder.
I don't know. I mean,
I just shit, man. They don't pay fighters that much in the first place. So where I mean, where did all that money go?
obviously there's always the elephant in the room of the Trump and White relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know Trump's relationship to Ari Emanuel, given that he's a big Hollywood bigwig with a lot of money. I figured they're probably have spoken to one another at some point in time. I don't know. I don't know.
So many questions, man.
I
I
mean,
just wonder.
we're all supposed to be getting bailed out soon, apparently, with these checks coming the way. Obviously to varying extents, but I don't know. I mean, that is actually a good question because yeah, the movie business is hurting now. It's not quote unquote essential, but I mean, at the same time, everyone's hurting. So, who do you pick and choose?
Well, Dana's just crazy, right? Because he looks. It seems like he has like a point to prove. Like he's shitting on media. He wants to make sure this fight goes on with UFC 249. You know, there's a venue supposedly, and they're almost like 100% done with it. And just the way he's talking and the way he's been talking in the past ever since this pandemic started, like he sounds almost like Trump. Like he doesn't believe, he's just like, no, no, I don't care. We're just going to beat this thing. And yeah, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah,
Regardless, like, do they have testing for these fighters that they're going to really make sure?
theoretically, by the time the fight happens, because these tests are coming out, and we're still kind of waiting on those shipments from China too. So theoretically, hopefully, there's enough tests to go around in one way or another. And maybe in this case, White's relationship with Trump helps him, and that he can he can help his fighters be safe in one way or another. But
I hope so, man.
and anyone listening, and yeah, to you too, Reen, I apologize. I not that I don't want to talk to him about MMA. It's still entertaining to me, and it's still I think important in one aspect or another. But kind of like what I've always said about Khabib and Ferguson of like I'll wait till they're in the octagon is like further to the point now because now it's like before I'm like, all right, I'm getting psyched up for it, but I'm not gonna get too psyched. Right now I'm like,
Yes.
I do not give a single fucking shit. Once they're in the cage, okay, I'll start getting excited. It'll go from 0 to 100, but it's gonna stay to 0 for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. It's so crazy, man. It's, I don't know where it's going to happen. These are the front runners, though, or like the locations could possibly be at, right? Florida is the front runner. Surprise, surprise, maybe because all the beaches are still open. Who knows? But, everybody's hanging out anyways. There's an audience. Might as well. The other one is United Arabs, right? UAE. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was Russia. I was surprised that Russia was number 3, the third one.
Dana is a fucking idiot. Jesus goddamn Christ. Russia? Oh my god. What an idiot.
Russia's on the table. But who knows? It's just, betting odds, I guess. Like, these are the positions. No, yeah, these are just the locations that people think they are. There's, like, betting on this. But who knows what... It'll be interesting if he did. Doesn't Putin have, like, a relationship somehow with Trump? There's some weird political relationship, right?
What, Russia?
And then Khabib's relationship with the Russian president as well. It's so weird, all these dynamics. So I always thought that it could possibly be in Russia.
Have you seen the numbers?
With the virus that they have?
Yeah.
Or very little, right, still? Or was there, like, a different number now?
It's fucking bullshit, Rain.
Yes, it has to be. But who knows, man?
We don't even trust this with China. All of a sudden, we're going to trust Russia?
I know. And that's the reason why. Like, there's an excuse to go there. Because look at the data. It will be okay.
Well, the numbers say it all. No.
Yeah, right? Like, what? Dana White's going to be like, what? Look at the numbers. It's all good. They opened their borders for us. Yep. It's going to be like Rocky IV. Just like straight out of a movie. We're going to Russia.
Okay, all right. So I jumped the gun a little bit saying that Dana's all in on this. So these are the bets. They're not bad. They're not bad bets, honestly. Shit, Russia could be the front runner. It really could be. But if that's the case, and that's what Dana's really looking at, he's a fucking idiot. If he's saying it's still in closed doors, okay, there's that. If there's going to be tests available, that's good. If that's what they're going to do, if it's in a remote location, closed door, and they're going to test everybody before and after, I think that's the way to go about it.
Right? Have the testing made available.
I still prefer just postpone it. I think that's the best way, but if you're going to do it, this is the way to go. And like I said, I'll be excited once they're in there, and that's about it. That's about it. But I think that's like the only way to go about it.
Yeah, if this mega card, because he's trying to put together an entire card, if those fighters are guaranteed tests, actual tests, everybody else too that's going to be involved with this, and also include that the fighters will receive treatment after, because we've already heard it. There's some fighters, like 2 in particular, one in particular that couldn't get treated for other injuries. If you can't guarantee that they'll get treatment for injuries after the fight, then don't do it. I can't support that. It's too risky.
Yeah, the whole thing just seems risky to me, which is why I've just like not entertained the idea. And come to think of it right now, like if MMA was still going on, if the world was still normal, man, we would have had Woodley and Edwards talk about from last week. I think this week was supposed to be the Rosenstruck and Ngannou fight already, right? And then a few weeks we're gonna have Khabib and Tony. There'd be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and just having all the weigh-ins and the press conferences, and like we're missing out on a whole bunch of content.
But now I gotta watch fucking Rachel Ostovich on TikTok.
I saw that, man. She's getting a lot of hate.
You know what? Like we said earlier, there's a lot of people who are just looking for stuff, and I guess you could put that in the same category. But also, I think people are just sick of bullshit, and they're not afraid to call it out now because there's not a lot going on, and they're just like, "Oh, okay, we see it now." Now that there's no longer the facade of the weigh-ins and the big fights and the shit talking and the tweets, and we just have to look at this and accept that for what it is. This is fucking bullshit.
Yep, it's been revealed. The rabbit is out of the hat. Yeah, it's, especially her in particular because, man, she looks good when she's like still. You know, she has the filter going on and everything, right? She's like on point, right? Her dancing is awful. She looks like a robot. Like that was a dance or was that a cheer? I don't understand. And just the way she looked, I'm like, oh, she looks so plasticky. Her face. She used to be a pretty girl too. I don't know. It's just she's just getting more Botox or whatever. Did you see Cindy's picture though, as of recently?
Yeah, yeah, I have.
Yeah, I saw a different one
I don't.
today. I think she has like a different profile picture up.
I
I'm like,
haven't. I haven't seen her as of late. I'll still kind of refrain from Cindy. I still love her, but
yeah,
yeah, I don't. It's. I'll just leave it there. I don't. Even in these behind the scenes and basically unfiltered podcasts, I still have my faves. There's still some I won't touch. Out like I mentioned weeks ago with Kat when I really like no. I was sad that I didn't know. I wasn't sad that she did it. I was sad that I didn't know that. I was like I felt lied to. But she's doing good, and maybe she's one of these women that can shape these younger girls and like yeah, you don't need to be doing all that shit.
yeah. Well, Cindy's case, she's supposed to be fighting PFL whenever that's gonna happen. That's another thing.
Oh, she's in fucking lock it down. Belgium did not fuck around. They got a few thousand cases. They're like, fuck y'all, get the fuck in your house. Military, everything in a few days.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yep, there it's a real bad. They're barely allowing people to go to the grocery store.
That's
Like
crazy, man.
it's like super contained and
Oh shit! I just realized something. So
uh,
what's Oliveira gonna do in Brazil? He got baby mamas everywhere. He can't be like going out, right? He should be on lockdown or like the gangsters or whoever the organized crime is gonna handle shit, right?
oh, that's right. And you know what? You sent me that message and I never replied back. That you know what? I don't want organized crime or any kind of gang members enforcing a lockdown here. But I'll be honest, I gotta respect those fucking guys. They're doing the shit that their own fucking government won't do, man.
That's like hardcore. I'm like, I read that. I'm like, God damn. Wow. Can you imagine if it happened here?
Like Jesus,
It's that
I
hardcore over
don't.
there.
I'm literally speechless. Like I definitely want to talk shit, but like I can't. I just can't.
Hmm. I know. There's so
It,
much going on.
it's unbelievable.
You
It's
know.
unbelievable. Yeah, and you know what? To continue talking about MMA, and I guess in Oliveira's point to that whole deal, I gotta give props. And even though this isn't like an official MMA show, I still might do a tweet of the week. And um, Israel Adesanya posted something. I don't know if you've seen this of echoing something that I'm the only other person that has said this that I've seen. So basically, Izzy's the only other person I know besides me who said this. He said exactly what I said last week to you and Ben. These next couple of weeks is gonna make or break people.
I think I
And
did see that. Yeah.
and I was just so I mean shit, even the his fight with Romero seems so fucking long ago. But regardless, I mean I liked Adesanya before, I still like him now. That fight didn't really change anything for me. But that post, it's like, man, I didn't think I could like the guy much more, but he fucking gets it, man. He gets it on a number of levels, and he's definitely one of these guys who sees the good with the bad, and sees the reality of this crisis, and sees that there is hope, and sees that there's also a lot of darkness and fucked up reality to it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to make this too personal just because he echoed something that I said, but I got to be honest, like, he mentioned about, yeah, there's going to be a lot of fights, there's going to be drinking and drug abuse and a lot of volatility in the household and domestic abuse. And that is a lot of things that I thought about once that thought cropped into my mind originally. And I got to be honest, at a time when I'm looking at a lot of silver linings and trying to make the best of it. I am very thankful that I am a 30-year-old man, that this happened now. I don't want it to happen ever, but if it's going to happen, I'm glad it happened now. I'm glad that I'm not 12 and this happened, 18 years ago when I was in a household that I did not want to be locked in with my father for 30 days, if not fucking longer, somewhere where we can't escape,
Hmm.
with someone who I did not want to be in my house, someone who could not, had no control of his emotions, was totally volatile, and did abuse alcohol and drugs on a frequent occasion. Right now, obviously, my heart goes out to anyone who's really being hurt by the economy, who doesn't have a job and don't know where their next meal and the payment for the rent's going to come from. But those are the people that no one's talking about right now. They're in some really shitty situations and they're at home with people that they really, there's kids that are going to be getting arrested. And those, I'm not going to try and jump on those people of they're not really paying attention and they're kind of going out here and there. They're just trying to escape their home life because it's fucking shit.
Hmm.
I feel for those kids too, and I feel for those women, and anybody who has a shitty home situation. I'm very sorry. I've been there, and it's so unfortunate that it's in a situation where it's mandated to stay in place with these people that cause you harm.
Yes, I saw that. I saw some of those cases, or not cases, but just people mentioning it. And, because the kids don't have anywhere to go. And, there's no escape. They're going to be abused. So, yeah, I think I
Yeah,
did see that.
I'm really not trying to just bring the show down and make it just
No.
about this, but it's really hard not to. And
Hmm.
that really spoke to me in particular because it's like he got the big picture and the little picture, and no one's getting that right now. People are all about the economy, don't give a fuck about the virus. People are all about the virus, don't give a fuck about the economy. They're
Hmm.
all about, it's one thing or the other. Get Trump out of office or he's gonna fucking stay in because they're not gonna have elections, or they're gonna any fucking thing. They're so desperate sometimes too to just not make it about the virus. They end up making it about it, but in a really fucked up, disconnected, not at all relevant, meaningful way. And that's the one of the few things that I've seen online where I'm like, okay, somebody gets it. I am not alone in this. I thank you a lot, Rain, for being on like 99% of the same page that I have, and to my girlfriend too, who's very similar to both of us in that regard. Um, I'm very thankful I have you two around to talk this out with, because it makes me feel better of my biggest fear. And I understand it's so I know it can be overwhelming for you too, but I hope, however this continues, this show and these next couple of episodes, volumes, whatever you want to call them, I know we will continue to talk about this, but I hope it's never as this, at least uncertain. I don't want to say with this kind of like dread, but at least this uncertain, because we don't know shit. And it's like, I think the only way we can get a little bit of hope, even if it's bad news, is to have some kind of actual see where we're at and see what the real projections are. Not saying that all the shit they've been saying is fake, but just be like, okay, now as of this point, because we've done X, Y, and Z, we're looking at this.
Hmm. Put some logic behind it. Can we come together?
Exactly.
Yeah, can we come together and just figure this out? I mean, just the racism towards Asian Americans, and just
Oh God.
so many different layers to this, like, right? Like, we see so much, at least I have, just on Twitter and the news and numbers and politicians just going back and forth, acting like a fool. And yeah, it's, I think we were talking about it, what, on Saturday or something on the phone. What did we talk about? Like, at least Earth will be healed up a little bit
Yeah.
because we're staying indoors.
Yeah.
We're fighting on Twitter, we're talking shit on Twitter to each other, whatever. But as long as we stay indoors, at least Earth is healing up. There's no
Yeah.
smog and shit.
Exactly. Every morning I have something to be thankful for. I go out to work and I see blue skies, and it's fucking amazing. I've lived in Los Angeles for 30 years. I've never seen this in my goddamn life. I have seen blue skies a handful of times, and that's because I go out of the city, like way out of the city. It's fucking amazing. And it's just a matter of days. It was almost instant. Like in the weekend, I started seeing this, and it's only been at that point. It only been like 2 or 3 days.
God, yeah, because there's so many, like millions and millions of people going through constantly. I think people were, I think Eric, yeah, Eric 303, right? I think that's his username.
Yes,
He was
yes.
posting like the maps on
The
Google Maps.
maps.
Yes, I'm like, wow, look at all that green.
Rain. You have no idea. You have no idea how amazing that is. To anyone listening that's not from LA or you've never been here, it is amazing. There's no words to how incredible that is. The highways are just free flowing, no backup whatsoever. Unbelievable.
Never seen anything like it. Never, I've never experienced anything like it. Yeah, I don't live there, so I don't have to deal with it all the time. But just, yeah, you always hear it. LA traffic's the worst. LA traffic's the worst. Man. Everything's just lit up in green. I wonder,
Even,
like, what the effects would be after this too. Like, will they
even me,
take transportation more and things like that?
even me, my job is 5 miles from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
On a regular day, I usually have to take the streets because the freeway will just gonna get you jammed up.
Mm-hmm.
On a regular day, for a 5 mile distance, 20 to 25 minutes. Like 20, you're risking being late. Like it's a 50-50 chance whether you're late or not. Right now, I'm getting to my job in almost 10 minutes on the freeway, like 12 to 13 minutes with time to spare.
Nice.
It's it's unbelievable. It's fucking it's crazy. And like it's not the first time. Like I work on Saturdays sometimes. So that's usually what it's like on Saturdays because most people are asleep. But it's like, man, I feel like every day, this is the weird thing that kind of fucks with my brain. Every day that I go to work, I'm like, I feel like I'm working on Christmas.
Damn, really?
There's no one out.
Oh, yeah, that's the only time, right?
Yes.
Only
How
fucking time.
when is everything shut down? And
Yeah,
it's in this place time it's even crazier because even Asians are shutting down.
yeah, true that. Unless you're a
And
Chinese restaurant.
to further prove my point, this is just a little anecdote for you guys, but I got to give a shout out to you, Rain, even though I'm gonna assume this guy's Korean, but I have no idea. Last week, well, actually 2 weeks ago now, I went to go because everyone was in a panic, and now I've kind of chilled, but I was in need of some supplies, and water, it was not a big one, but it could be of use. So it's hard to get just big things of water. So I decided to go and get one of those like big 5 gallon jugs. I have a few here, but I'm like one more won't hurt. And
Mm-hmm.
there's this guy I usually go to a few blocks from here, like maybe 2 miles from my house. Asian dude. He sells water, like the purified water and the building, and he makes keys, which is I think an odd combination, but
Damn, right?
I guess essential. Very very cool guy. He's a young dude. I've talked to him a bit. There's some keys that I needed made that I couldn't find anywhere, and he actually made them. He actually, even the ones that he didn't have, he's like, I'll probably get them in a week or two. Come back. I did, and he made them for me. So ever since that, he had my business because I'm like, all right, you stuck by your word, and you're out to make a profit. You're out to satisfy your customers, and I respect that. And I bought this thing from him. I went. There was no jugs. I'm like, I'll be back in a few days. He says they'll be, they're gonna get some in a few days. I come back, and he tells me they should be in tomorrow, but you can pre-order one if you want. That way I can guarantee it. So I did. He calls me. He's like, all right, it's in. You might have to come tomorrow though because it's like a late shipment. Then he calls me later and he says, oh, it's in already. And actually, if I were you, I'd probably come in right now because I think I'm going to shut down tomorrow and for the rest of the month. And I go and I'm told him like, hey man, what's up? Like, I figure if anyone's essential, it's you. You provide water to people. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, yeah, I don't need to shut down. I am essential, but it like I thought about it long and hard, man, and I'd rather just be safe. And in this is not to even make a joke or to point anything out, but I think a lot of it had to do with when I'm putting the pieces together. He usually works by himself, but I've seen him open the back room sometimes, and there's an elderly Asian dude in there. I'm assuming probably his dad, because that's I know something that a lot of Asian cultures do. And I think he was just looking at it and like, man, even though my dad's kind of quote unquote quarantined, he's still here, and I'd rather just be safe. And this guy could have made a lot of money right now because trust me, water is in no short supply. And he just said, fuck it. I'd rather be safe. And I was like, man, so much respect for this guy. I don't know how many people are actually doing that right now. And especially being in a business like his, like he put health over profit. And that's so rare, definitely in this country. And and especially, I mean, you can speak to this, Reen, Asians are good business people and they're not going to miss out on the buck if they can make it. That's the reason they don't shut down on Christmas because there's business available.
Yep.
But this dude realized what was important. And I told him, like, man, don't worry. You got my business. Like, I'll be back. Whenever you're back, I'll be back for whatever I need because I really respect that.
Yeah. You gotta take care of your elders too. So
It's people like that that are making a difference. I went to the grocery store a few days ago, and like I said on the last podcast, I was getting mad at my people because they weren't taking it seriously, and now they really are. And I'm seeing a lot of young women out, like women in their early 20s, shopping. I'm 99% sure these women can't cook. I'm not saying this to offend them. I'm saying this because they just don't fit the profile. They're shopping for their parents. Now, if that's because they offered or their parents told them, I don't think even makes a difference. But the fact that they're just doing it, I'm like, they're stepping up. And I saw, again, younger women, maybe like in the 24, 25, they looked like they were sisters, similar in age. One of them had a mask on and was on the phone. The other one had gloves on and was pushing the cart. So it looks like they made the agreement. You grab the food, and I'll be on the phone with mom or dad or whoever needs the groceries so I can tell you what to get along the way so we're not touching everything.
wow.
Like people are actually doing this, and it's these type of things and it's these people that are giving me hope right now. And maybe that's why I'm not freaking out as much as I was just a week ago.
That's such a different atmosphere than it is up here, and maybe because we have such a small case and we're a little bit more open.
Hmm.
We're not so stacked like LA. Like there's just so many people down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still like people are still shopping. It freaks me out, man, because I don't know where they've been or who they hang out with or who those people hang out with or you know what I mean. It's a trickle effect, right?
Hmm.
So I just don't know. I don't know who has it or anything. Yeah, every time I pass by a Walmart or something, because I have to drop off my kid with his dad, we have like this designated spot. I'll always pass by a Home Depot or Walmart. All the businesses are like just still going. There's so many cars. It's so packed everywhere.
I mean, I'm gonna assume they're essential.
It is essential, but I'm like, damn. I mean, regardless of how this virus moves and the effects of it, it's like people are still out and like nothing's happening. Seems like.
Yeah, maybe it is a numbers thing, a population issue of how people move in the certain areas that you go. I'm not moving around much right now myself, but in the little places that I do go, just around my neighborhood, like I'm seeing progress.
That's good.
And
especially
I'm
for
seeing,
you guys, because you guys have the larger numbers in this state.
of course, and I'm seeing lesser. I'm still seeing there's still the moms out, the 40, 50-year-old women who are, getting groceries for the house and getting stuff for the house. But I'm seeing less and less like older people, like people in this, still some 50 and 60-year-olds, but very few of like the 70 and above, the actual retirees.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I might like ease up on some of this because I've been like really taking this lockdown seriously. Like even with the original one that was called, because they didn't like really come down on this county, Sacramento County, until later, like days, later, saying like, yeah, we're going on lockdown. Well, as soon as I heard lockdown, I'm like, okay, I gotta be careful with this. I can't be around these people, this many people. I can't go here. I can't go there. Yeah, I'm just gonna maybe like pull it back a little bit just for my own sanity because I've been like in the house. I just try to go to the grocery store as minimally as possible. I have most of the stuff I need. It's just I need fresh vegetables or milk. I don't want to freeze milk. Yeah, you can freeze milk, but no. So I'll try to go like different times. I'm like, fuck, it's still packed. Why is the grocery store always packed? But they made like certain measures to go into a certain entryway, so there isn't a lot of people conjuring in the front trying to get a cart because it happens if people start stopping and there's like a pileup. So
Yeah.
they take certain measures so you can just keep it moving, just go 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 go. But yeah, I don't know. I needed to get out. Especially today, I'm like, oh, I need to get out. So I was at my homegirl's house for the majority of the day, just out.
I totally get it. I totally get it, and here myself, I have my family here. They definitely keep me busy and they definitely keep me preoccupied, definitely provide entertainment at times. So I'm not going too nuts. And yeah, and it's definitely wise what you did. And we also just need to check up on people. That's a thing that I think, people have been talking about it, but people should really take it seriously because this is affecting so many things. It's literally affecting everything. Maybe we'll start to cut it short here in a bit, but here's something that I've been thinking about lately that I've discussed with my girlfriend of bad things are being predicted for the economy and in all likelihood probably will happen. But I do think whether this could end today or in a week or in a month or in a year, whatever it may be when this shit is done. I think it's really changed the culture already. It's really changed the way we look at business, at life, at so many things. Like and I'd like your input on this, Reen, because you have been in the role like this. Like I think you're fucking crazy if you think that by the time we get out of this, and in school as well, but with work, that they're not going to start, either people are going to start demanding or the companies are going to start asking of more in home work.
Yes, I see it happening. It was slowly ticking that way anyway.
Yes, it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen, but
Yeah.
now it's like for sure. Like I said, this could end today. They could find a vaccine tomorrow and get everybody healthy in the next week or two. But people are gonna be like, why do I? People are gonna say, why do I have to go in? And the companies are like, why are we bringing these people in, having them waste all this gas, having them, make the carbon footprint bigger and
Yeah.
getting in traffic and this and that. Like, let's just have them stay at home.
Yeah.
Let's just
Well,
have them work at home.
that and like just overhead, like that as well, but like company overhead, like where can we just cut costs? Why should we lease this building for
Yep.
this amount of money and keep the power on if we're only going to have like 3 or 4 people in the building anyways? Because the majority of the team works outside. They're either door knocking, depending on the positions they're in. They're always visiting customers. That's what they should be doing if they are out in the field. So what's the point? So that's just gonna all change. Like you don't have to come into the office to check in anymore. You can check in from like using Zoom. Even colleges are doing that because of this pandemic. Instead of stopping courses, they're using Zoom to do meetings, and I think that's what they're going to do even more. I saw something on LinkedIn about how interviews are going to be done by video conferencing now. And people are already starting to prepare and going in that direction and just
Like
using technology.
like interviews, like for like a job, like I'm interviewing for
Yeah,
this position.
yeah, job interviews. Yep. by video. They're already going in that direction of just using technology to their advantage. Because why? Why even waste
And
time?
you know what? That you know that I gotta think that that's gonna. I mean, obviously, when you interview for a position, you're gonna find someone. I mean, whether it's the best candidate or not, you're gonna find someone. But I think that can really help as far as getting the right person because okay, it's good that you can have people that are really smooth talkers and can conduct themselves professionally in a kind of high pressure situation like an interview because obviously you don't know these people and you're nervous about getting the job and saying the right thing. There's always going to be that at play. But if you're at home, if you're somewhere familiar, and I'm sure you're still going to dress up and be nervous and talk as best you can. But you're at home. You're not have to go and shake the stranger's hand and oh man, did I shake his hand well enough? And is my suit ironed enough? And did I sit down properly? And does my
Yes.
breath smell? And all that stupid shit that everyone thinks about. It's like, all right, I'm chill. All I got to think about is what you're about to ask me. And you're going to have very forthright people and not just possible. Not saying that everyone that does good in an interview is a sociopath, but possible sociopaths that just know how to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The handshake. That I laugh when you said that because I just remember like working
Remember when
with
we used
a
to
lot of
shake
men.
hands?
Yeah, remember that? But me just working with a whole bunch of men, in sales and whatnot, and my CEOs or my bosses, all of them were like, they're men, hardcore, type A type guys, and the handshake had to be a certain way. It has to be firm. We have to feel like how tough you are, and this and that. Like now we're
every
not gonna
guy
have
does.
that.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
not gonna have that in business anymore. Like there's gonna be some other way of greeting each other, or it's just gonna be straight up online, doing business across the world, wherever possible. It's gonna change so much with this automatically. Yeah.
And to further my point, if you're not on board with this, or if you haven't looked into it enough, fucking stockbrokers, traders on Wall Street are at home. They're trading at home. Some of this
Yes.
shit that's going down on Wall Street is automated. This is changing shit so much, and people are realizing how important and not important they are. And again, like what things of what Israel said, it's gonna make or break you. I think that's gonna affect people's psyche too, and it's just gonna change so many things. The list is endless of all the things that will change.
Yeah. And positives too, like hopefully people know how to cook more with this
Yeah,
pandemic.
yeah.
Meal prepping, not relying on fast food restaurants. I mean, it's good to have every now and then, but if you really think about it, and if you are worried about money, there are certain things that you can do to offset that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Offset those costs, and hopefully people are using the crock pot more, prepping meals during this time. Doing other things too, picking up different hobbies, reading more. My girl and I, like today, because I visited her, we're like talking about like, okay, let's do something. We're bored. We have kids. Yeah, we're at home. We don't have jobs. Let's do something, especially now because there's nowhere we can go. So we're like talking about projects and maybe doing like a t-shirt company or something. Who knows? She has this like thing, a cric cut, whatever this thing is that prints out a certain like material that you could just iron on a t-shirt. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So she showed me and all this material, vinyl, like fox leather or fox fur, whatever it was, leather, some kind of leather material. It was an actual leather, but all kinds of shit in this box. I'm like, I guess we can play with it and figure it out. We're off anyway, so hopefully people are doing the same thing, getting certain projects done.
And something that I know you love the gym, and I know there's certain workouts that you feel that you want to do, that you feel best doing. But even I know, I mean, I've seen the videos and you tell me about how you're still working out at home. People that, I mean, sure, there's plenty of idiots that are like, man, I need the treadmill, I need this and that and blah 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 blah. But there's plenty of people that are gonna figure out like, hey, I can work out at home in my backyard or shit in my garage with next to nothing. And people are hopefully, if they're in the right state of mind and of the right discipline and of the right attitude can start getting into shape now just because they're getting a little stir crazy, and hopefully they can put that into something positive like their health and their bodies.
Yeah, playing with their kid, just being there, actually
Well,
playing with your
to
kid, and
people that have kids, of course, that too. Yes. Yes.
yeah, getting to know your child a little bit more, getting to know your significant other. Yeah, it's gonna change a whole lot, not just in business, but just the way we interact. And I hope that like with this, I'm always just so sarcastic and such a shit talker. But yeah, I always think like I could hope things will get better, like just like humans treating each other better.
Yeah,
Hopefully we come
definitely.
together. Yeah, we come
Definitely.
together.
And even in the doom and gloom and all the fucked up sad shit I was talking about of, people being in potentially domestic abuse issues and alcoholism and drug and all that stuff. It's like hopefully they can get out of that situation at one point or another. And whether it's these kids or these women or whoever it may be that's being affected by this, they really see like, oh yeah, these people are probably gonna talk to their friends and their cousins and this and that, and like, oh yeah, it sucked, but after a while it was cool. Like, we fucking play video games and board games, and we found this and that about it. We started looking into this, and like we kind of had a decent time, even though it kind of sucked. And those type of conversations are gonna be like, wait, how come I was so scared, and how come I was so uncomfortable, and how come I was so this and that, and then you can start to see like, oh yeah, like in times like this you shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be like that ever. But it goes to show how some people react smoothly, calmly, and appropriately, and some people just can't handle it and decide to take it out on other people because they're weak, selfish bitches.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, hopefully just people just as the days go by, they just think more and more because there's no distractions. Hopefully you're not looking at the phone all the time like I was. But yeah, just come to realize like what's more important.
I think we both went a little collectively mad last week. I kind of
Yeah.
made some comments to you, and then like a day or two later, I started realizing with you too. It's like, yeah, there's a limit and a balance to this all, and I think because you and I have been inundated ourselves in so much info, it's obviously there's bad in that, and we suffered that, we saw that,
Yeah.
but I think also we're pretty educated on the matter. We don't know everything, and that's I think the big thing is that we realize that we don't know everything, but I think we have the right idea for the most part.
Yes, exactly. We're
And I
pretty
think
well
that's
balanced.
yeah, and that's I think all we can ask for right now, really, of anybody.
Yes,
Of anybody.
exactly. Because we're all stuck, man. We're all in the same boat. Everybody's on the same boat. Well, I mean, we have different circumstances, but in this case, there's something that we have no control over. None of us have control over this. So
Exactly. I I don't know if this is a good way to end it or not. I think it's
I know
we've
we're trying
done
to like, be positive for a couple minutes there.
but this is one of those things that I think it's because of what you had said about what we've talked about maybe this helps Mother Nature, and hopefully this starts healing the planet a bit, and those type of conversations that we had. I started thinking about, because I haven't gone too much online, but I'm sure there's great memes and all this stuff going on, and I really I started to think about that scene in Training Day. It's one of my favorite scenes in movie history with Denzel at the end, yelling at the people in the hood about, I'm the police, I run shit here, you just live here and all that shit. King Kong ain't got shit on me. I was thinking like they should do like a meme or a GIF or whatever with Denzel doing that, but Denzel's character is Mother Nature, and she's just talking shit to all of us. Like, this is her revenge, man. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. You think you could do
That
this shit to me?
that's perfect. Maybe I'll try to play with that. Make a GIF out of it, huh? A video.
I really hope someone has done it because I don't know. Maybe this is just what's going on in my mind right now, since it's like the only thing running like on loop is everything regarding this. So I was just like, man, I love that speech, and I'm like, you felt that when Denzel said that, and it's like, yeah, that's how I think Mother Nature is right now. It's like all the fucking oil you fucking dumped in the ocean, all those chemicals, all the polluting, all this and that, motherfuckers. I'm getting you back now.
Oh shit! Well, there was an earthquake. Where was it?
Utah. Utah.
There,
I
right?
I have family in Utah, as does my girlfriend, and yeah, that
Uh,
was a bit of a thing for both of us because we're in Cali. We're the ones that like, are you okay? You okay? And I was like, I told her, I'm like, hey, fucking, there's earthquakes in Utah. She's like, yeah, because she lived there. And I was like, shit, that's news to me. It's good to know I have one more thing to worry about.
yeah, Utah of all places. I was so surprised. It was like a 5.7 or some pretty
Yeah,
big number.
it was kind of big, but apparently, from what my girlfriend told me, and I guess she would know since she lived there, their earthquakes there aren't like here because their faults aren't as like deep. Like they have a lot of shallow quakes.
Oh wow,
A lot of deep quakes, so you don't feel it too
feel it.
much on top. Here we have like those sliding plates and all that. Those are the really bad ones. But over there, I guess they're more like the rolling kind. The more that they're like, they're gonna feel a little shitty, but the danger is not that bad.
Gotcha. Yeah. So there was an earthquake there, and then there was also an earthquake near Russia, Kiri Islands, wherever that place is.
That's news to me. I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, there was a tsunami warning that went out to California and also Hawaii, but it was
Holy
fine.
sh!
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
oh,
I'm like, fuck, man. Mother Nature's fucking acting up. It's like, fuck you, motherfuckers. You want to fucking like argue about this stupid shit and money and this and that? Okay, here you go. Two
mm-hmm,
earthquakes. Here's two.
mm-hmm.
Yep. Have fun. Like, goddamn,
She,
somebody's
she
mad.
keeps us she keeps us in check, and I think if we keep that in mind and we act appropriately and we act fucking humble, which is hard for many people in this country to do, I think we can, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
More and more, I feel like we'll be all right. I don't know what all right will be at that point in time, but whatever all right is, I think we'll be all right at that point.
Oh, God, why am I always an asshole like this? See, I try to like end it on a good note, but it just reminded me of something, especially with that date that Trump, you know, picked out his like
Mm-hmm.
favorite day, and he's like, "Wouldn't it be great if all the churches were full again, and people are gathering together again?" I'm like, if you want to take that chance, sure. If you want to be, back in church and close with everybody, sure, that's a perfect way to possibly pick up the virus.
Yeah, that's he's pandering to his base too. I mean, that's why he was saying that
I
shit.
hope so. I keep thinking that like he's got to be like campaigning at the same time. He's
Of
taking these
course.
national briefings, right? So he has to say these certain things. I'm just like, oh my god, these people don't really believe this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he could be saying the most serious shit in the middle, like, well, yeah, Sleepy Joe Biden and Obama, they didn't do that. He'll just say that in the middle of it. And
Yeah.
honestly, part of me kind of loves it because it's fucking hilarious. And then the other times, I just want to fucking kick him in his face. It's like,
It's horrific, man. It's been
it's
scary for me.
horrific, but it's
Yeah.
still kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm like, they
like,
actually let this guy talk. I'm like, oh Lord.
like I didn't know this, but I guess this is to me, it's funny. I hope, I hope you find it funny too, but I didn't know this. Joe Rogan, I saw a little clip of his, and he said about when Trump first floated the idea around of the stimulus checks, that he's like, I guess he tweeted about it like the next day after he had brought it up, and he put, oh yeah, $1,000 to every American affected by this, and he put, except for those who had hashtag not my president, I wouldn't want to offend you. He tweeted it and deleted it, but when I heard that, I'm
What?
like,
Oh God.
he's a piece of shit, but he's fucking hilarious. I'm like, I can't say it. That's not fucking funny, man.
Such an so he's a smart ass. Even at this time, it's like, god damn.
He has to be petty in the middle of a
Yes.
fucking worldwide pandemic. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible, but I goddamn love it.
Everybody's watching this too. Our fucking president. So embarrassing, man.
God bless the goddamn USA, man. I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way to end it. I don't know how much production there will be in this. I don't know how much editing there will be of this, but I just thank you guys, anybody and everybody. I apologize for the lack of MMA. This is the type of shit that we sometimes have to get out before we talk MMA with you guys. So this is probably the most unfiltered show you've heard. And honestly, it's a lot of doom and gloom. It's a lot of topical shit that you probably came here to escape from. And I promise that we will continue to talk about MMA and try and keep you entertained with the usual shit. But for now, just give us a little freedom, give us a little leeway, and just, I apologize in advance. But I hope for whatever it is, you enjoy it. I'd appreciate any feedback, any comments, any retweets, all the usual stuff. You guys already know where to find us: iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify. You can find me at Juice_MMA. Reen?
Fox with you on Instagram and Twitter.
Follow the podcast at Fox with Juice. We'll catch you all next week, and hopefully we'll all be alive and well. And I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't. I really don't. I just hope you. I really hope you join us, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
See ya.